Hi everybody, I'm Grubby and I've been playing Warcraft 3 recently and I feel like it's a pretty fun game. I wanted to help people with what I learned about the game by teaching some beginner guides to people that may be new to Warcraft 3. Here I have a beginner guide and an intermediate guide in a single video. I'm going to be showing both in a video that I'm about to play. I played this earlier today with the purpose of showing it to you, but I decided to do the live commentary later on top of the video in order to be able to focus on it more. In the past, when I've done beginner guides, I always spoke at the same time while playing the game, and I think this will be cleaner. First, let's take a small look at the settings. This is video settings, sound settings. For gameplay, you're going to want to scroll to the left, make sure that show time elapsed is on, and also the gold mine unit counter is on as well, that you can see over there. Let's turn those two on. For input, you can use any of the control schemes that you like for control groups. Make sure to also turn on always on the live bars. And for zoom level, I like 2100 personally. In-game opponent chat is disabled by default, which means you can't chat with your opponent. You can turn that on if you like. Zoom at double 2100. For input, I use custom. Grid might be the cleanest for you, but you can also do custom and choose everything yourself in the 5th option tab under hotkeys. You can choose binds for how you want to make your units and how you want to make your buildings. So to get things started with this build order that I'm going to be showing here, we're going to go for human and we're going to just queue up against the computer easy, normal or insane on a starter map. I'm going to be showing you how to play Archmage into Mantiking with a footman opener with a very simple, easy to follow guide. We start with 5 footmen. We're going to go into riflemen, priests and sorceresses. And I'm giving you the basic backbone of the build until about 7 to 8 minutes. From that point onwards, you can either go to tier 3 and expand upon your technology further, adding knights, griffins, paladin, inner fire, and so on. Or you can take a second base around the same time instead. Or you can actually go for one base and go for an attack. When the game begins, send all your peasants into the gold mine. Train 2 new peasants. And then start an altar with one of your 5 peasants. You will hold down shift with the same peasant that's building the altar, and then you'll right click on the trees. Select your town hall and perform a right click, which will set rally flag to a new location, and your peasant will end up there. Then aim until your farm has one space between the town hall and the farm, so that you can still enter and leave your base. Start a small blueprint of a farm and then go on to make the barracks against it and the trees. The next new peasant builds a farm and keep using a shift right click command to go to the trees so that when they finish building, they start harvesting lumber. Use a rally point again with the right click from the town hall to start another farm in between your altar and town hall. We have now created a full wall off on the left side of our town hall, and we have a 1 gap on the right side of the town hall. This peasant is going to go to gold at 9 out of 12 on the population, 9 out of 12 on the supply. Once we're at 10 out of 12, our altar is going to finish. We're going to start an Archmage, and we're going to set our rally flag to the bottom right of the altar with our altar. All new peasants go to wood. You can feel free to queue up additional peasants here. When you're at 16 out of 18 supply, as you see in the top right, your barracks will soon finish, and you're going to be making a footman. You can use the time allotted to you right now to control group 4 peasants on lumber already into control group 2 by pressing Control 2. That way, when you want to militia creep, which is something human players do, you can pull those 4 with you. At 19 out of 24, we're going to make a scout tower. And then at 20 out of 24, we're going to make another farm. At 21 out of 24, actually. We queue up a second footman. We're 21 out of 24. We start our 3rd farm. Soon now, our Archmage will be completing alongside with the second footman. We can queue up 1 more peasant for now to go to 22 out of 24 population. And now we're going to take those 4 peasants that we put on control group. We're going to turn them into militia and bring them to the first orange camp on the map. At the same time, we'll also upgrade our scout tower to an arcane tower. We're now at 110 gold. Once we're at 140, we can start our 3rd footman, which we're doing now. And you can also rally the barracks with a right click on top of your Archmage. Then start creeping this camp, making sure to tank the first hit with Water Elemental. We're going to get level 2 from this camp. Now we're going to go back to our base. We're going to make 1 more peasant to get to 25 out of 30. And we'll queue up 1 more footman to get to 27 out of 30 population. We will now have the allotted 5 peasants on gold, 9 peasants on wood, and we have 3 footmen with a 4th one in production. This is the supply count that we are going to be going to tier 2 with. Tier 2 means when you take your town hall and you upgrade it to a keep, it's going to allow us to get a second hero upon completion of it. As you can see, I have 9 peasants. There's 6 peasants per row and I've got 3 on the next row. If you box select all your peasants together and you see that you have 9, that's the additional confirmation to know that you have the desired lumber peasant count. I'm doing a force lumber command here to return them back with the E hotkey. Now I have 210 lumber. 210 is how much you need to go to tier 2, aka to upgrade your town hall to a keep. Keep creeping steadily and try to cut down on the amount of time that your army stands still as much as possible. At 27 out of 30, after we go to tier 2, we're going to bring a peasant, and at 40 lumber, we're going to be building a blacksmith, which we will do now. We'll follow that up with 2 additional farms. Make sure that the time that you spend making this blacksmith and these 2 farms, your army is still farming creeps. Of course, I was a little sloppy with my footmen here and it got focused, but mistakes can be made in the beginning of a game when you look back to your base for a while. I made sure not to play this game too fast and stay under 100 APM. When footmen drop low into the red HP, send them behind your gold mine so that they can be healed up later. Now at 21 out of 30 population, with our final footman in production, I believe that's our 5th or 6th, we're going to make an arcane vault, and the arcane vault should be protected by the range of arcane tower. I'm actually going to build this one in the middle of my base so that it is safe. After our blacksmith finishes, we're going to start the first 2 riflemen, and then when tier 2 finishes, we're going to start our mountain king and an arcane sanctum. We keep steadily creeping by using the attack move command. Attack move means go here, but also engage any enemies on the way. You perform this by using the A attack command if you use classic hotkeys, and then performing a left click somewhere. When Archmage gets level 3, pick Water Elemental for the 2nd time. This is also a good time to start getting a little aggressive, to get some information, maybe get some kills. Here I'm playing against an AI who happens to be camping the high ground. We're just going to go for the high damage units that have low health, like headhunters, focusing those down. Footmen are meant to be replaced, so if you lose any, make sure not to replace them. If you can save them, it's a good thing. But I'm going to send them home behind the gold mine to be healed later. Water elementals will be used to do extra damage against his units, and we'll try to save as many footmen as possible. As you can see, I saved 4 footmen with low health. You may have different results, but at least it's something that's integral to the Warcraft 3 experience. If you can save units with low health and heal them up, that is part of what is really special about Warcraft 3, and you want to heal those up. So we are at tier 2 now. We've got our first rifleman in production. And our first rifle is actually finished, our 2nd rifle in production. We're going to start another farm, and this follows the concept of try to always keep 6 supply free compared to what you have. So I'm at 38 population right now, and I have a 44 population maximum. Anytime you see that you're getting close to that cap, that would be the time to make another farm. Here we use a regeneration scroll from the shop, which gives 225 health to every unit around the hero when it is cast. This takes 40 seconds, and it will be cancelled the next time that unit takes damage from either a creep or an enemy player. So make sure that you don't start farming creeps too quickly after using it. Black gunpowder will be one of the key upgrades once we start getting more riflemen. Here we're actually going to take one of the big camps on the map. It is denoted by a red circle on the minimap. That means it's tough. The moment you have 2 heroes and 2 riflemen, you can actually take red spots. Our Mountain King is on the way right now, and he actually came out at the 6-minute 40 mark. You can compare how it goes for you. Against the Ogre kind of try to spread your units out in different directions. It's fine to Stormbolt him to reduce damage. And I'm actually going to pull my Archmage half a screen plus away, so that all of the 152 experience goes to my Mountain King only. Because Archmage is already level 3 and Mountain King is level 1, it's actually really valuable to split your hero away so that your 2nd hero can get higher level. I actually intended to bring Militia to this camp as well, but I forgot, so by the time they arrive, their timer has already expired. So I'm pretty much going to send them home immediately again. We're also pretty low right now, so another regen scroll would be normally what you might want to be going for here. So now that we're at the 7-minute and 30-second mark and we are approaching 50 population and getting above 40 population, this would be the time that you typically make a decision whether you're going to be attacking from one base whether you're going to go for a second base or whether you're going to tech to castle. As I mentioned before, castle can be used to go for knights, griffins, paladin third, orb of fire from your shop, staff of sanctuary from your shop, etc. If you want to get nice, cool, big tech units, you can go to tier 3 once you have the resources for it. It's about 350 gold and 220 lumber, something like that. Instead, I'm sending a peasant to my expansion. This is a new gold mine location, also sometimes referred to as the natural, because it is the natural location to expand, seeing as how it's nearest to you. So I'm building a town hall there now with a singular peasant. Once I have a little bit more lumber, I'm going to send these peasants here. I'm going to bring them over to the town hall, and I'm going to do what is called power building. Power building is where you use several peasants to construct one singular building, and it is one way that human is actually a little bit of an easier beginning race, because if you're ever late with a building, like you're late on a farm, you can set several peasants to task on the same farm. I'm noticing my lumber is dropping a little low, so I'm actually going to be making a lumber mill now, and I'm gonna power build it possibly with a second peasant to get it finished faster. Currently I'm hanging out a little bit on 50 population, because at 50 population you get 100% of all income, and once you go over 50 population, you start incurring a 30% tax loss on all your income. This isn't something you should worry too much about at this stage, but it is something that better Warcraft 3 players will use in order to create extra income for themselves. They want to stay at 50 a little bit, build up some bank, and then start spending it. At your level, you should most likely be more concerned with making a bigger army so that you can attack and defend more aggressively, without focusing too much on optimizing your economy. As you can see, I'm going over 50 population already, and so I'm going to be able to make a bigger army. That population is going towards extra peasants for lumber economy from both my main base and my expansion. I'm making additional riflemen. I've got my long rifle upgrade. I'm going to be working on my priest adept upgrade, which will allow them to dispel magic, which can be used to deal damage to enemy summoned units. Also, after about 3 priests with upgrades, which is what I have right now, you can start to make sorceresses. Here you see an example of dispel. Select your priests and then use the D hotkey if you're on classic hotkeys to remove enemy summons. We are starting our attack. It's at 10 minutes. We have an expansion at home. We keep making units, new riflemen and new priests, and this is pretty much what a beginning game of Warcraft 3 may look like, except you're probably going to be having a little bit more trouble clicking the right buttons, and your opponents may be a little better than computer normal. But I encourage you to try this out versus no opponents at all, versus easy AI, and versus normal AI. And if you can beat insane AI fairly consistently, then you should be ready for multiplayer, and you can start trying to play on W3champions.com, which is where all of the Warcraft 3 Grubby Tournament Invitational players have been playing. We're getting rifleman attack upgrades, we've got the lumber harvesting upgrade, we've got new units coming out, and we are actually having enough money right now to go to tier 3, so we are doing that. This is how to begin with Warcraft 3. I've got the Stormbolt and Thunderclap ability for Mountain King. If you think that's a little bit too challenging, you can take Stormbolt and go Bash second. Hope you enjoyed this beginner guide. I thought it might be neat to add an intermediate guide in the same video as well. So I'm going to go straight into that, and I'll talk about what an intermediate guide would look like. The guide you saw in the first part of this video is typically for completely new players, and is also suitable for players up to 1000, maybe 1100 MMR. It is basic, it allows you to learn the game, allows you to learn how to read and understand build orders, and it allows you to experiment with transitions after the initial opener. Once you pass W3 Champions MMR of 1100 or 1200, you can start experimenting with the build order that I'm about to show you now. Okay, let's queue up a game on Northern Isles where I show a build that is suitable for players with W3 Champions MMR between 1200 and 1800. This is for intermediate human players, and it's going to be teaching you how to do a tier 1 fast expansion. Tier 1 fast expansion for human is meta at the high level for human against night elf, human against undead, and not so much for human against orc and human against human. So this is mostly going to be geared towards facing a night elf player or an undead player. In this build order and build layout, I'm going to be showing a full wall-off build. That's why it's 1200 MMR plus. For lower level players, I would be afraid that you'd be getting your hero stuck. But for higher level players, I can say that the hero and units will spawn out of the corner of a building that the rally point flag is closest to. So if you don't want to be stuck with any of these barrackses or altar, just put the rally flag of that building to the top right of itself and they will never get stuck in this full wall off. I showed a double farm opening in the first build, but here I do farm into gold mine to get a little bit of extra gold, and then when the new peasant is halfway done, I pull the 5th peasant out of the gold mine to build the 2nd farm. This is a slight optimization that I think I can get you ready for now at this point and this level, since you're a little bit higher than beginner already in the intermediate MMR range. Everything is coming along nicely. So with this one, we're actually going to be going for a immediate creeping of our expansion location. Our strawman enemy is a demon hunter with immolation, because I am simulating a human versus night elf game here. That means that we are going to be expecting for the night elf to scout us at this level, and we're going to be expecting a demon hunter with immolation coming in trying to kill our peasants. So although we are clearing our expansion immediately, we're not actually going to take it immediately. Initially, we're going to build an arcane tower fast, and then we're going to be protecting that arcane tower for a while. Then we're going to make a town hall right after that. Another thing that's different from the beginner guide is that we are actually using a footman to scout. This is a level of multitasking that I would not teach to 500 MMR players, but for 1200 plus, it's time to start scouting so that we can try to start learning from what we see. Our 3rd footman is now in production. We're bringing all our militia, we summon elemental, and we walk it in, making sure it takes the hit so that it doesn't get ensnared first. We want to take piercing hits from the trapper. We now see it's Farseer, Rax, and Warmill. That means Farseer Headhunter, but we are still imagining we're actually against Demon Hunter and Immolation. Kill the Troll Trapper level 4, kill the Tuskar Trapper level 4 first, as it has high damage, then kill the healer, and then kill the Ogre Magi. We've got 28 population, combining a series of footmen and peasants in production. We're now going to make our Scout Tower, which we will power build so that we can get an Arcane Tower as fast as possible. Quickly pick Brilliance upon leveling up to 2 to start mana regeneration. And keep an eye on the Scout Tower. As it finishes, you want to build Arcane immediately. Then you can send your peasants into the gold to get 50 bonus gold, since they are waiting to have enough money to be able to build the town hall anyway. We're going to bring our peasants back and not allow them to go home. We turn on auto repair on all 5 of those peasants, so that when an enemy comes to try and cancel the tower, they will immediately start repairing it. And at 28 out of 30 population, make sure you have enough money, not a footman in production, not a peasant in production, to start the town hall. You should have enough for it. Note that I cut corners here. I didn't make an arcane tower. I'm able to omit that because I have a full wall off. For beginners, I would always recommend having an arcane tower, as it can help defend, though I did not realize I have to actually tell beginners that arcane tower must be targeted on enemy summons or hero. But that's for a future lesson, I suppose. We're going to build a delayed tower there, because at this point in the game, Night Elves could Staff of Teleportation their Demon Hunter inside our gold mine, and we want to be ready for that eventually. It was not reason enough to make it early, because it would delay our expansion, but it is fine at that point. So we actually just creep something near our expansion, stay near enough to make sure it can't get cancelled, and once it's finished, we immediately control group our town hall at our expansion and at our main base, so that we can use keybinds to train extra peasants. I'm showing it in a visual way here by centering my camera on my town hall and then showing myself training a peasant, but that is for visual demonstration purposes only. I have both of them control grouped, and I can constantly make peasants from each one. This is important because we borrowed 5 peasants from our main to make an expansion, who are now harvesting gold. But what we don't want is to run out of lumber. We're going to go for more lumbers than usual. The usual lumber count for peasants is 8 to 9 on one base, but you actually want 12 to 13 on 2 bases. As you can see, I have 11 right now, so I'm going to make one more peasant at expansion. You want to have 12 total. Just box select all your peasants in your main. You see, oh, there's 9, there's 2 here, that's 11. We want 12, make another peasant. 12 or 13 is both fine. Once you've got your expansion up and running and you've got your tech in your main base started, start creating a wall off to make it more difficult for an opponent to take down your arcane tower. We're doing this via a blacksmith against your town hall, then an arcane vault on the other side, and then any extra farms you want to do bonus building blockers. Our pressure we did about 30 seconds ago is to deal damage and force people home to buy time and turn the Eye of Sauron away from our expansion. If they are standing there ready to defend, you don't have to run in, but the main thing is to play on their side of the map to force them to keep thinking about their own base rather than your running expansion. Footmen are cannon fodder, they are an expendable unit, and you'll also notice we make far more footmen now than we did in the previous game where we're on one base. That is because they're the only thing that we can make right now that increases our army threat, our army strength. They are a pretty nice basic unit for early game, and we have defense upgrade started a minute ago. It is finishing now. It's very good against archers and burrows because it greatly reduces the damage taken from piercing sources. So we turn on defense, we're gonna go for his burrows. I'm kind of just ignoring his army here because if we kill all the burrows, it is incredibly powerful to prevent them from getting high-tech units. That means he will only have basic units, and then we can tech to either Arcane Sanctum Sorcerers and Priests, or we can go for something like Griffins. Either way, killing burrows is one of the best ways to address orc players. You must imagine if this was a Night Elf player, I would instead be trying to kill archers, wisps, and moonwells. We're gonna send our Archmage away and use Potion of Replenishment to keep it alive. We're gonna get a boost of speed from the shop so that we will never be this much in danger again. Every single burrow is dead. Of course, this is an AI, but you kind of get the point. Use Footmen and Water Elementals to do as much damage as possible. Meanwhile, your gold is ticking up. Now it is going to be a good time to start thinking about what you want to go for next. Is it going to be Griffins, Double Rax Rifles, Arcane Sanctums? So I've actually decided I'm going to go for tier 2. I'm going to get Double Rax, an Arcane Sanctum, and then a Workshop. Going to be a combination of Knights, Mortar Teams, and Priests. This is not specifically geared to what you see here in this game, but it is a solid way to play when you've got lots of money anyway. Making one of every building, Knight, Workshop, and Barracks, Workshop, and Sanctum, gives us plenty of counter opportunities. If they're going to go for Wyverns, we can get Flying Machine. Again, if he's Night Elf and he's going for Bears, we've got Knights to tank the Bears. We're going to have Priests and Sorceresses to provide support. We're going to have second hero and then a third hero coming out. And the Mortar teams can deal with any Dryads someone might have. Also, instead, we could have gone for none of that noise you see there, but just straight up go for triple Griffin Aviary and start spamming Griffins or Dragonhawks or something, and try to counter Moss Bears with some air units. Everything is possible. The main thing that I'm showing you here is the opener and how to kind of tower up your expansion. Your main doesn't need as many towers because it's fully walled off, and then anytime you need Arcane Vault, you can just fall back to your expansion. One of your primary goals is to destabilize their economy, to use your superior economy and your basic units to destabilize theirs. That can be done via preventing an expansion, something I failed at in this demonstration game, or going for their burrows, something I succeeded at, of course. One of the best ways to hurt a Night Elf and to prevent them from retaliating against your expansion, utilizing their superior hero level and technology upgrade tree, is to go for Wisps. Night Elf Ancient of Lore openers require a lot of lumber, and so any Wisp you attack can slow down their timing a lot. If you're specifically going up against Druids of the Claw, making a combination of Knights and Spellbreakers can be quite nice. Spellbreaker damage is tripled when it is attacking something that has mana, and Druids of the Claw, of course, have mana, so their damage is tripled. Additionally, you are removing mana points, stealing Roar, stealing Rejuvenation, and so on and so forth. And Breakers don't even take a lot of damage from Dryads because of their armor type. In this game I went for a momentum-based Pandaren Brewmaster that can do very well against large clusters of tier 1 units. You can go Pandaren Brewmaster in almost any matchup, it's quite strong. You can also go Mountain King second instead, or you can get Naga second when you're against Night Elf. It's quite good to control the Demon Hunter's positioning. Get key items from the Goblin Shop like Healing Scroll and Invulnerability Potion, especially on melee heroes. Human players always want to walk around the map with Town Portal Scroll on one of their heroes. Town Portal enters a hero into a state of invulnerability, and after a few seconds delay, will teleport someone away back to a main base. You can aim for about 800-900 range around a main base, around any town hall, keep, or castle to aim your town portal. So make sure to left click your town portal scroll and then aim where you want to go around your town hall. If you're in a rush and you're panicking and your hero is about to die, you can save it via a double click on your town portal scroll. Make sure that you choose a hotkey that you're comfortable with. This can be done on the W3 Champions settings interface. I'm currently making a bunch of knights. I've got some blacksmith upgrades for swords, which gives knights bonus damage. We just upgraded control magic on spellbreakers, which can be used against heroes that have summons, such as in this case against Farseer with feral spirits, but against the night elf it may not have the same mileage. Mortar teams are nice to siege down bases. They can also be used to take down enemy casters, such as dryads, druids of the talon, shamans, witch doctors, spirit walkers. And they can get an upgrade called fragmentation shards, which costs about 50/100. And this makes them do more splash damage and more bonus damage on units that have medium armor or unarmored armor, which actually makes them pretty decent against units like archers, headhunters, crypt fiends, and riflemen as well. This is where heal scroll is going to come in useful. We use the heal scroll right there. Mortars take down the main base, and our units are engaged with the rest of his army. We're getting to 80 population. This is another great time to invest heavily into blacksmith upgrades, as there's a large economic penalty for going over 80 population. Even though I may not want to go over, it is still a good idea to start building farms now. And anytime you have an expansion, you never build one farm at a time. Always build 2 to 3 at the same time so that you don't have to do it as often, to save yourself the macro distraction later on when you might have to be focused on fights. A third hero paladin would have served us very well here as well if you feel like you've got the micro and the multitask to control it. One flying machine is never a poor investment either, as it can allow you to scout for different gold mine locations. You develop true sight so that you can see shadow melded archers, huntresses, etc. or any blade master you might be playing against, and so on and so forth. Right now we're going for the killing move, so we go over 80 population without reservations. It's going to make us have the biggest possible army. One more important thing to remember is that anytime before a fight is about to break out, you set to your macro management first. First produce units and empty your gold bank. Once all those units are in production, you're free to focus on the fight for a while, because now you at least know that any units you're losing are going to be replaced by new units from the production. One of the biggest mistakes people make is to get into a fight which was thrust upon them by the opponent, or for them to be the aggressor and start fighting, when in reality you should first be spending your money. That's a GG. Hope that you guys enjoyed this beginning and intermediate guide. If you are a beginner right now and you start working with the first beginner guide, make sure to save this video for yourself so that you can watch it as you get over 1000 MMR on W3 Champions, and you can go back to this and learn more human. Expert human guides will be coming in the future as well, but first I'm going to focus on the other 3 races. Hope you enjoyed this, and good luck, soldiers.